Unrequited. My unrequited crush on my brother's best friend led nowhere. So I enrolled at a university in another city and found 3 backup options who reminded me of him. That particular afternoon, I was busy flirting with one of my admirers when my roommate rushed over. "There are 2 guys outside claiming to be your brothers." I laughed dismissively. "Tell them the position's filled. If they want to be my brother, they'll have to get in line." The next second, 2 men stormed into the room, faces thunderous. One was my actual brother Ethan. The other was the handsome guy I'd harbored an unrequited crush on for years. It started in 8th grade when my parents divorced. Dad and Ethan stayed in Boston. Mom took me to San Diego to live with my grandparents. The day we separated, I clung to Ethan's leg, sobbing uncontrollably. "Come with me. Who's going to help me with my homework?" Ethan was already a senior, focused on getting into Harvard. No matter what, he couldn't leave Boston. "Be good, Willow," he said, wiping my tear-streaked face. "I'll come visit. Call me whenever you need help with schoolwork." Mom eventually pried me away, and I cried the entire flight to California. 3 years slipped by in a blur. The ginkgo tree outside our house shed its leaves and bloomed again, over and over. The day after my college entrance exams, I secretly flew back to Boston without telling Mom. But the moment I landed, my phone and wallet were stolen. When I was almost home, a creepy guy on a beat-up motorcycle started following me through the streets. In desperation, I ducked into a barbecue restaurant and tripped, sprawling across the floor. A group of young people at a nearby table turned to look. I lifted my head and tears spilled down my cheeks. Some creep followed me here. He kept asking me to go home with him. Someone helped me to my feet. His voice was warm and gentle. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head and wiped my eyes. When my vision cleared, I found myself staring at the most handsome face I'd ever seen. The young man had neatly cropped dark hair and striking features, deep-set eyes with an almost poetic quality, softened by long lashes. Yet his sharp jawline and straight nose added an edge of intensity. He crouched to meet my eyes. "Don't worry, we'll take care of it." Before I could respond, he'd already headed outside with several of his friends. Moments later, I heard a yelp from the street. Okay, I'm sorry." I peeked out the door just in time to see the creep limping away. That's when a tall figure emerged from the convenience store next door, a pack of cigarettes in hand. "Finn, who were you fighting?" His eyes landed on me and his expression shifted to shock. "Willow, what are you doing here?" Fresh tears welled up and I threw myself at my brother. "Ethan, I almost got kidnapped." "Where is he?" Ethan spun around, ready for a fight. The handsome stranger Finn stopped him. "Already handled, let it go." Ethan crushed his cigarette underfoot and grabbed my face, pinching my cheeks. "Getting brave, aren't you? Who said you could come back alone?" "Mom said it was okay," I lied. He laughed bitterly. "Since when do you lie to me, want me to call her?" Knowing I was caught, I admitted the truth. "Mom wanted me to spend summer with her new husband. I don't like it there, so I came here instead. I wanted to surprise you and Dad, but no one was home." "Ever heard of a phone?" "I lost it on the way here." "Are you serious right now?" "Stop yelling at me. You deserve it." As I started crying again, something cold pressed against my cheek. I touched it, an icy can of cola. "Hey there, kid. Hungry?" I looked up and met Finn's eyes. They were bright and warm, crinkling at the corners when he smiled. In that moment, surrounded by summer heat and cicada songs, his presence felt like a cool breeze. My heart pounded wildly. Finn was a brilliant architecture student at Harvard in the same year as Ethan. They were roommates and best friends. According to Ethan's other friends, there were rumors about them being more than friends, since neither had ever had a girlfriend. Ethan hated those rumors. "I'm finding a girlfriend this year," he declared, slamming his hand on the table. I didn't care about his dating life. I only remembered one crucial detail. Finn was single. After that, I became Ethan's shadow. Through him, I grew closer to Finn. When Finn heard I loved maple pecan tarts from this one bakery, he started going out of his way to buy them for me. He even gave me an enormous Disney Castle Lego set and spent his free time helping me build it. One stormy afternoon, rain lashed against the windows. Though it was only midday, the sky was dark as night. Finn and I sat on the living room carpet, working on the Lego castle. "That piece goes here," he said, his cool fingertips brushing my hand as he reached for a brick. My heart stuttered. Heat flooded my ears. Finn, want some fruit?" His attention remained on the tiny plastic pieces. "Sure." I fled to the kitchen and pulled out a fresh watermelon from the fridge. By the time I returned with a plate of sliced fruit, he'd vanished. The study door was slightly ajar. Voices drifted out. I held my breath and crept closer. "Her scores should be high enough for Harvard," Ethan was saying. Then you'd see her every day. You'd see her every day too. What's that supposed to mean? Do you have feelings for my sister? Finn studied him calmly. If I did, would that be a problem? Ethan stiffened. Are you serious? Finn lowered his gaze. Relax. I think of her as a little sister, nothing more. Besides, we're seniors now. Once internships start, we won't have time to hang out with her anyway. Ethan relaxed visibly. Good, you two wouldn't work anyway. He picked at his fingernails. If you want a girlfriend, I can set you up. Finn shrugged. Sure, why not? Wait, you actually want one? You offered. I pressed my back against the wall, blinking away the sting in my eyes. The watermelon plate trembled in my hands. My first love was over before it even began. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in the guest room, staring at the ceiling, replaying his words. Little sister, nothing more. But something didn't add up. The way he'd looked at me when he handed me that cola. The way his fingers had lingered on mine during the Lego building. The maple pecan tarts he went out of his way to buy. Was I imagining things, reading too much into ordinary kindness? I grabbed my pillow and buried my face in it. No, I'd heard him clearly. He didn't see me that way. The smart thing would be to let go. To focus on college applications and forget about the boy with warm eyes and gentle hands. But when I closed my eyes, all I could see was his smile. Chapter 2. I made myself a promise that summer. If Finn didn't see me as anything more than a little sister, then I would force myself to stop seeing him as anything more than my brother's friend. I would go to a different university. I would meet new people. I would move on. When college acceptance letters arrived, I chose Westbrook University in San Diego. Ethan was furious. You said you wanted Harvard. Why the sudden change? I stood before him like a scolded child, but my voice was steady. Harvard's prestigious, but Westbrook has a stronger chemistry program. Dad graduated from there. I want to follow in his footsteps. Ethan was momentarily speechless. You should have talked to us first. Why? I'm the one going to college. It's my choice. Getting rebellious, are we? Finn rested a hand on Ethan's shoulder. She's right. If she's passionate about chemistry, Westbrook is the better fit. I didn't look at him. Couldn't look at him. If I met his eyes, I was afraid I'd crumble. Ethan glanced between us, exasperated. Last year you said you wanted to come back to Boston. Now this? Fine. Go. His voice cracked. You're all grown up now. Don't need your big brother anymore. I always knew this day would come. He turned away, scrubbing at his eyes, then retreated to his room. I stared after him, guilt twisting in my stomach. Finn, is he crying? Looks like it. An awkward silence stretched between us. Finally, Finn spoke. Why did you really choose Westbrook? I bit my lip. I told you. The chemistry program. Willow, his voice was soft. Look at me. I didn't. Is it because of what you overheard? In the study? My blood ran cold. You knew? The floorboards in this house creak, and you left a plate of watermelon outside the door. Mortification flooded through me. All this time, he'd known I was eavesdropping. He'd known I heard him say those words. It's fine, I said quickly, forcing a smile. You were right. We wouldn't work anyway. I'm just a kid. That's not. Congratulations on senior year. I hope Ethan finds you a nice girlfriend. I turned and walked toward the guest room, each step heavier than the last. Westbrook is a great school. I'm excited to go. I closed the door behind me before he could respond. Only then did I let the tears fall. Chapter 3. A year and a half later, sophomore year, a sunny September afternoon. Moving on was harder than I thought. I'd thrown myself into college life, joined the student council, volunteered at the chemistry lab, made friends who didn't know anything about my past. But the ache never quite went away. Worse, I'd developed a pattern. It started innocently. A cute guy in my statistics class smiled at me, and my heart skipped not because of him but because of how the light caught his eyes. Just like Finn's. Then there was the barista at my favorite coffee shop. Dark hair, gentle voice. Every time he handed me my latte, my chest tightened. And the TA for organic chemistry. Something about the way he explained molecular structures, patient and precise, reminded me of someone building a Lego castle on a rainy afternoon. I knew it was pathetic. I knew I was chasing shadows, but I couldn't seem to stop. By sophomore year, I'd collected 3 admirers, Jackson, Sebastian, and Grayson. Each one reminded me of Finn in some way. Jackson had his eyes. Sebastian had his voice. Grayson moved like him on the basketball court. I told myself I was trying to move on, but deep down I knew the truth. I was trying to find a replacement for someone irreplaceable. That afternoon, the student council summoned me to audition hosts for the welcome show. I was hurrying toward the auditorium when someone blocked my path. Willow got plans tonight? This was Jackson computer science heartthrob. Smart, good-looking, but with an ego the size of California. I have class tonight, I said, twirling a strand of hair. Tomorrow? Tomorrow works. I'll take you out for a late dinner. Sounds good. After shooing him away, I encountered obstacle number 2. Hey Willow, a friend gave me movie tickets for tomorrow noon. Wanna come? This was Sebastian from the linguistics department. Refined, handsome, emotionally stable, but a bit old-fashioned, and hung up on some girl from his past. Sure, I said, but I have plans tomorrow evening, so I'll need to get back early. His smile was gentle. No problem, just being with you makes me happy. After we parted, I spotted Grayson near the basketball courts, bouncing a ball while scanning the crowd. Grayson was widely considered the hottest guy on campus. Thanks to his mixed heritage, he had striking hazel brown hair. His only flaw was being clingy as a golden retriever. The moment he saw me, he bounded over. Willow, where have you been? You haven't texted me back in days. He was clearly fresh from practice, still in his tank top. I couldn't help but notice his toned arms. Been busy with classes and student council, I said sweetly. You're not mad at me, are you? Never. I could never be mad at you. He leaned in eagerly. Breakfast tomorrow, please? I hesitated, then nodded. Okay, meet you at the dining hall. As I walked away, I felt a pang of guilt. None of them deserved this. None of them knew they were just stand-ins for someone else. But what was I supposed to do? Pine forever for a guy who saw me as a little sister? At least this way I was trying. The auditorium was cool with air conditioning. I sat on a front row table, fanning myself with a script. A nervous freshman stumbled through her lines on stage, glancing at me every few seconds. When she noticed my expression, she winced. One more chance, please. I eyed the dozens of people waiting behind her and waved her off. Just then, my roommate Mia poked her head in. Willow, 2 guys outside say they're your brothers. I blinked. Which ones had shown up? From our school? She shook her head. Visitors. Super handsome though, like ridiculously handsome. Something in my chest tightened. What do they look like? One's tall with kind of an intimidating vibe. The other one, she paused, eyes bright. The other one looks like he walked out of a movie. My heart stopped. No, it couldn't be. Tell them the position's filled, I heard myself say. Brothers have to get in line. Before Mia could respond, 2 men strode through the door. Ethan was in front, face like a thundercloud. Behind him was Finn. I nearly fell off the table, scrambling down. Ethan, Finn, what are you doing here? The room went silent, dozens of curious eyes fixed on us. Ethan marched up to me, arms crossed, his height and intensity making me want to shrink. What did you just say? Positions filled? His smile was dangerous. How many brothers have you collected? I stared at my feet, not daring to speak. His expression darkened further. Finn touched his arm and looked at me kindly. Finish up here first, we'll wait. I nodded, watching numbly as he steered Ethan out. But just before Finn disappeared through the door, he glanced back at me. And for a split second, I saw something in his eyes that made my breath catch. Something that didn't look like brotherly concern at all. Chapter 4. When I went outside, Ethan had disappeared. Only Finn remained, standing beneath the trees. The setting sun painted everything in gold, outlining his figure with soft amber light. He was leaning against a pillar, scrolling through his phone, looking exactly like he had 2 years ago, only sharper somehow. More defined, the boyish softness had given way to something more mature. My heart betrayed me, beating faster despite everything. It had been 6 months since I'd seen him winter break, when I'd visited Boston. He looked thinner now, tired maybe, but still devastatingly handsome. Finn noticed me watching. He turned and our eyes met through the dappled shadows. He smiled and gestured for me to come closer. Hey, Willow. His voice still did something to my chest. After all this time, after all my efforts to move on, one word from him and I was 18 again, standing in a barbecue restaurant with tears on my cheeks. I walked over slowly. Where's Ethan? Investigating how many good brothers you've acquired. My eyes went wide. Seriously? Finn tilted his head, studying me. You seem nervous. What? No, why would I be nervous? You always twist your ring when you're nervous. You've done it 3 times since you came outside. I looked down. My thumb was indeed spinning the silver band on my index finger. I dropped my hands to my sides. I'm not nervous, I'm just surprised. You didn't tell me you were coming. Would you have been here if I had? The question hung between us. Of course, I said too quickly. Why wouldn't I be? Finn was quiet for a moment. Then he pushed off from the pillar and closed the distance between us. He was close now. Close enough that I could smell his cologne, something woody and warm, different from what he'd worn in college. Close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. "Willow," his voice dropped. "Your brother isn't here now, tell me the truth." I swallowed. "About what?" "The three guys. Do you have feelings for any of them?" "What? No, I mean they're just friends." "Friends you're dating." "We're not dating. We just hang out." "All three of them." "It's complicated." "Uncomplicate it for me." I took a step back. "Why do you care?" Something flickered in his eyes. "Why do you think?" Before I could answer, two figures came running toward us. Jackson and Sebastian. "Willow, is it true you're seeing him for a movie tomorrow?" Jackson demanded. "Wait, you told me you had plans tomorrow night. Is this the plan?" Sebastian looked betrayed. Before I could respond, Grayson sprinted up, panting. "Willow, we're still on for breakfast, right?" Silence. The three of them stood in a row, glaring at each other. Behind me, I could feel Finn watching. "You know what?" Jackson said coldly. "Forget dinner. Clearly, I'm just one of many options." "Same," Sebastian said, though his voice was more wounded than angry. "I thought we had something real." Grayson looked between them, then at me. "Wait, you're seeing all three of us?" The whispers started. Students passing by stopped to watch the drama unfold. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole. Then Finn laughed softly behind me. I turned, mortified. "Finn, let me explain." He was smiling, but his eyes had gone flat. "Maybe explain to your brother first." I followed his gaze. Ethan stood 20 feet away, arms crossed, looking ready to commit murder. Chapter 5. Ethan dragged me to their hotel. "Explain now." He sat on the couch, arms crossed, glaring. "You'd better talk or you're not going back to campus." I picked at my sleeve. "What's there to explain?" "Let's start with the three clones." "They're not clones. One has Finn's eyes, one has Finn's voice, one moves like Finn on a basketball court." He leaned forward. "You think I didn't notice?" My face burned. "It's a coincidence." "Willow, I'm your brother. I've known you your entire life." His voice softened slightly. "Just tell me the truth." I stared at the carpet. The words stuck in my throat. Finn sat by the window, silent. I could feel his gaze on me, but I couldn't bring myself to look at him. "Fine," I whispered. "Yes, I had a crush on Finn years ago. It's over now." "Over? You collected three guys who look like him." "Because I was trying to move on. I thought if I could find someone similar, maybe I'd stop." My voice broke. "Maybe I'd stop thinking about him." The room went quiet. Ethan's expression shifted from anger to something more complicated. "Willow, I know it's pathetic." I blinked rapidly, refusing to let the tears fall. "I know I'm being stupid, but I heard him say it, okay? 2 years ago. He said he only sees me as a little sister, so I left. I went to a different school. I tried to forget, and this is the best I could do." I finally looked up at Finn. He was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched on his knees. "Say something," I demanded. "Tell me I'm ridiculous. Tell me I should have gotten over it by now." He stood up slowly, crossed the room to stand in front of me. Then he crouched down to meet my eyes, just like he had in that barbecue restaurant all those years ago. I lied. I blinked. "What?" "That day in the study. When Ethan asked if I had feelings for you, his voice was quiet but steady. I lied. The world tilted. "But you said..." I said what I had to say. His eyes never left mine. "You were 17, Willow, 17 years old with your whole future ahead of you. And I was about to graduate with no idea where I'd end up or what I'd be doing. What was I supposed to do? Confess and then leave? Ask you to wait for me?" "Yes," the word burst out of me before I could stop it. "Yes, that's exactly what you should have done. You would have given up Harvard for me." "I gave it up anyway." "I know." His smile was sad. "And I've spent the last 2 years regretting that I let you go." I stared at him. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear anything else. "Finn," Ethan's voice cut through the haze. "You're telling me you've had feelings for my sister this whole time and you said nothing?" Finn straightened but didn't look away from me. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought she'd be better off finding someone her own age, at her own school. A muscle ticked in his jaw. I didn't expect her to find 3 people who reminded her of me. "Neither did I muttered. Despite everything, Finn's lips twitched. Flattering, though. "Shut up. Make me." Before I could respond, Ethan groaned loudly. This is exactly what I was afraid of. We both turned to look at him. He was rubbing his temples, looking pained. "You know what? I need a drink. Multiple drinks. Finn, I'm going to the hotel bar. You have 30 minutes to sort this out, and then we're having a very long conversation about boundaries and betrayal and why you're a terrible best friend." He grabbed his jacket and stormed out. The door clicked shut behind him. Silence. Finn turned back to me. He's going to kill me later. Probably. Worth it. And then his hand was cupping my face, gentle and warm, and he was looking at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. Willow, I'm sorry I let you go. I'm sorry I made you think you weren't enough. His thumb brushed away a tear I hadn't realized was falling. I'm sorry it took me this long to say what I should have said 2 years ago. Which is, he leaned in until his forehead touched mine. I fell for you the moment I saw you, stumbling into that restaurant, crying over a stalker, with watermelon juice on your shirt and fire in your eyes. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. It was love at first sight, Willow, and I've been in love with you every day since. The tears were falling freely now. I didn't bother wiping them away. You idiot, I choked out. You absolute idiot. Do you know how much time we wasted? I know. 2 years, Finn. 2 years of me trying to forget you. 2 years of dating guys who weren't you. I know. And now you show up and say you've loved me all along? Yes. What am I supposed to do with that? He smiled the real smile, the one that crinkled his eyes at the corners. You could forgive me, and then you could let me spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I stared at him. My heart was a mess. My thoughts were a mess. Everything was a mess. But for the first time in 2 years, I knew exactly what I wanted. I grabbed his collar and pulled him down to me. Deal, I whispered, and then I kissed him. Chapter 6. The next morning, reality set in. Ethan did not kill Finn, but he came close. 3 rules, he announced over breakfast, pointing his chopsticks at Finn like a weapon. 1. No sleepovers until she graduates. 2. You hurt her, I end you friendship be damned. 3. I never want to hear details, ever, about anything. Are we clear? Finn nodded solemnly. Crystal. Good. Ethan shoved a dumpling into his mouth. Now someone explain the 3 clones. I groaned and buried my face in my hands. Under Ethan's supervision and with Finn's quiet support, I sent messages to all 3 of my admirers. Jackson blocked me immediately. Good riddance. Sebastian called to say a gracious goodbye. I always knew you were looking for someone else, he said gently. I just hoped I could make you forget. Grayson was harder. He showed up at my dorm that evening, dark circles under his eyes. Willow, I don't care about the others, as long as you choose me in the end. I stood in the doorway, guilt churning in my stomach. Grayson, I can't. Why not? Because of that guy, your brother's friend? His voice cracked. What does he have that I don't? I looked at him, really looked. He was handsome and kind and genuine. A few months ago, I might have convinced myself that he was enough. But he wasn't Finn. And it wasn't fair to pretend otherwise. Nothing. I said quietly. You're wonderful. You'll make someone very happy someday. But I've been in love with someone else for years, and I finally have a chance to be with him. I met his eyes. I'm sorry I wasted your time. He stared at me for a long moment, then his shoulders slumped. He's lucky, Grayson said finally. I hope he knows that. He does. After he left, I leaned against the door and let out a breath. Mia appeared from behind her bookshelf, eyes wide. That was intense. Yeah, but also kind of romantic in a sad way. I laughed weakly, I guess. My phone buzzed. A text from Finn. Done with Ethan's interrogation. Want to grab dinner? I smiled and typed back, only if you're buying. Always. Chapter 7. The next few weeks were a blur of stolen moments and careful negotiation. Ethan watched us like a hawk. Every date was reported. Every text was scrutinized. By the end of the first week, Finn and I had developed an elaborate system of code words just to have a conversation without brotherly interference. He's being ridiculous, I complained one evening, sprawled across Finn's couch. We're adults. We don't need a chaperone. Finn handed me a cup of tea. He's protective. I understand. You understand because you're not the one being interrogated every night about whether we held hands. We did hold hands. He doesn't need to know that. Finn sat down beside me close enough that our shoulders touched. Give him time, he's still processing. I sighed and leaned against him. How much time? However much he needs. What if he never comes around? Finn was quiet for a moment. Then he tilted my chin up to look at him. Ethan is my best friend, but he paused, searching for the right words. You're the person I want to build a life with. If I had to choose, I'd choose you. Every time. My heart swelled. That's very romantic. I'm a romantic guy. You're a cheeseball. You're cheeseball. I laughed and shoved him lightly, but inside I was glowing. A month later, Ethan finally softened. It happened over dinner at their new apartment. Finn had made pasta his specialty, and the 3 of us sat around the table like a real family. Okay, Ethan said abruptly. I've thought about it. Finn and I exchanged glances. And? I prompted. And I'm not happy about it. He stabbed at his pasta, but I've watched you two this past month and I can see it. The way you look at each other, he grimaced. It's disgusting, honestly, but it's real. Ethan! Let me finish. He set down his fork. Finn, you're my best friend. You've been there for me through everything. And Willow, his voice caught. You're my baby sister. I just want you to be happy. Tears pricked my eyes. So here's what I've decided. He looked between us. I'm giving you my blessing, officially. But if either of you screws this up, I reserve the right to say, I told you so for the rest of your lives. I leaped out of my chair and threw my arms around him. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He patted my back awkwardly. Yeah, just don't make me regret it. Over his shoulder, I caught Finn's eye. He was smiling soft and warm and full of promise. I smiled back. Chapter 8. Both Ethan and Finn had passed their job interviews. An architecture firm in San Diego had hired them both. This means I get to see you every day, I said, practically bouncing with excitement. Finn laughed. That's the plan. And you can come to all my chemistry presentations. I wouldn't miss them. And we can have breakfast together, and dinner, and… He silenced me with a kiss. When we pulled apart, I was breathless. I love you, he said simply. It was the first time he'd said it out loud since that night in the hotel room. I love you too, I whispered back. I've loved you since I was 17 years old crying in a barbecue restaurant. I know. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. And I've loved you since the moment you looked up at me with those tear-stained cheeks and told me a creep was following you. Very romantic meet cute. The best kind. Chapter 9. Fall break came. As promised, I went to Boston with Finn to see his cats. His parents were traveling, so it was just us and 3 chubby felines who ruled the house like tiny, furry emperors. I scooped up Snowball, rubbing my cheek against his soft white fur. You've gotten so round, so cute. The cat tolerated my affection with regal indifference. Okay, you can say Dada now, I coaxed. Go on, show me. Silence. I pouted at Finn. I knew you were lying. He scratched Snowball's belly. The cat stretched, yawned, and let out 2 plaintive meows. Ma. My eyes went wide. Did he just… Told you. What about Mama? Can he say Mama? That's harder. We're working on it. We? His smile turned soft. I've been teaching him for when you're around. Something warm bloomed in my chest. You taught your cat to say Mama for me? He's your cat too, if you want him to be. I set Snowball down and launched myself at Finn. He caught me easily, laughing. Is that a yes? That's a you're the most ridiculous person I've ever met and I love you more than I can say. I'll take it. The days passed in a golden haze. We cooked together in his kitchen, bickering over recipes. We watched movies on the couch, Snowball wedged between us. We took long walks through his neighborhood, hand in hand, talking about everything and nothing. One evening, cramps from my cycle had me curled up on the couch. Finn brought me hot chocolate and a heating pad, then sat at the other end of the couch, lifting my feet onto his lap. I wish I had one of those maple pecan tarts from that bakery, I sighed. Too bad they closed. Finn smiled mysteriously. Give me 2 hours. 2 hours later, fresh tarts emerged from the oven. I gaped. You can bake? He plated a tart and handed it to me. Try it. 1 bite. Flaky pastry, buttery pecans, the perfect hint of maple sweetness, exactly like the original. How? I demanded. Before they closed, I asked the owner for the recipe. Told her my girlfriend loved their tarts and she'd be devastated when they shut down. I froze. But that was 6 months ago, we weren't even together. I know. He set down the plate and crouched to meet my eyes. 6 months ago, I'd already decided. After graduation, I'd move to San Diego. I'd find you. I'd tell you the truth. His hands found mine. I'd baked these for you a dozen times before I got them right. Practiced until they were perfect. Because I wanted to give you something that showed you how much I cared. Tears pricked my eyes. Willow, there are lots of handsome guys out there, guys your own age, at your own school who probably look just like me. A wry smile. You found 3 of them. Finn. But none of them learned to bake tarts for you. None of them taught their cats to say mama in hopes that someday you'd be around to hear it. His grip tightened. Only me. I couldn't speak, my throat was too tight. So maybe consider, he said softly, being mine forever. I tackled him in a hug so fierce we both toppled off the couch. Snowball yowled in protest and fled. No way, I said, my voice muffled against his chest. He went still. What? I pulled back, grinning through my tears. I don't want to be your girlfriend forever. That sounds like we're stuck in relationship limbo. Willow. I want to be your wife. I cupped his face in my hands. Eventually, when we're ready, but I want you to know that's where this is going. No more wasted time. No more running away. His surprise melted into the warmest smile I'd ever seen. Done deal, he whispered. Then he pulled me close and kissed me, like I was the most precious thing in the world. And in that moment, surrounded by the smell of fresh-baked tarts and the sound of a grumpy cat meowing in the next room, I knew I'd finally found my way home. The end.